The Seattle Seahawks got a double dose of great injury news on Sunday. Uchenna Nwosu officially passed his physical, and he's been activated off the PUP list. He's working his way back in with the ball club. And even though Tory Horton had to miss some time in the preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs with an ankle injury, and he wasn't suited up and didn't practice on a Sunday, it doesn't sound like the ball club's too worried about him making it back for week 1 of the regular season. Right now, Las Vegas is absolutely disrespecting the Seattle Seahawks. They have them at over under 7.5 wins on the year. I think this ball club's going over. I get it. I'm biased, but I would have them at least 9 to 10 wins. Let me know what you think. If you think the Seahawks are going to go over, type O in the comments. And if you're a hater and a loser and you think the Seahawks are going to go under, you can type U and be wrong at the end of the season. Now let's get into the video. All right, so Uchenna Nwosu has returned to practice. Now, he's not in pads, he's not hitting, he's not banging, anything like that. He's just working his way back through some light contact drills. He hasn't even put on pads yet. It's just individual drills that most of the rest of the ball club was able to do at the beginning of training camp. Now, obviously, Nuosu had to miss some time. He had an off-season knee surgery to clean up some stuff, but Greg Bell of Seattle tweeted this out the other day. He said that after Nuosu passed his physical exam, he was already out moving, running around on the field. He posted a video. Nuosu, to me, honestly, looked like he was moving like he did in 2022, which was his best year since joining the Seahawks organization. You can look at his stats. He's been fairly productive in his 3 years here in Seattle. Now, I do have to clarify, though, that a majority of his tackles and his sacks and his tackles for a loss, that is, he had 12 of those all in 2022. Most of his stats do come from that 2022 year where he was healthier than he has really been the last 2 years. Now, the last 2 years obviously have been cut short. They aren't his fault. Just freak injuries have happened. That being said, getting Nuosu back with the Seahawks is going to be huge on 2 different fronts. Nuosu's a veteran, right? He's been in the NFL for a very long time. He's played with 2 different organizations. He's been in Mike Macdonald's defense now going on to his 2nd year, and he really did excel in the limited action he got last year. I also believe that he's going to add in some much-needed defensive line depth. Now, when you look at the system that Macdonald plays, it's fast, it's physical, and he wants guys humming in and out, in and out, in and out constantly. And that's why they're able to bring as much pressure as Macdonald wants to do. So anytime you add an extra defensive line body or that edge rusher body, it's only going to be positive for the Seahawks. Now, don't get too excited. Don't get over your skis, because as soon as I saw he was off the PUP list, I immediately went, wow, he's probably going to play against the Green Bay Packers. Hold your horses. Probably not, might not even be ready by the regular season week 1 game, might not even be ready by the regular season week 2 game. But by activating Nuosu off the PUP list, it does mean that the Seahawks believe that he will be ready to go between week 3 and week 4 at the latest. Otherwise, you might as well leave him on the PUP list so you can have another man on that 53-man roster. Now, Mike Macdonald did have this to kind of say and calm down some of the overzealous fans like myself. Basically, hey, it's too early to see and to create a timetable for Nuosu. He has come in all offseason, he's attacked his rehab, and he's put himself in a position to where he could return faster than expected. He is ahead of schedule. That being said, he still has some checkpoints, if you will, that he needs to make sure that he hits before we get into any talk about actually seeing him on the field. Now, I am hopeful that he will be back by week 1. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. He's attacked his rehab. He's put himself in a position to honestly, at this point, overachieve and be back this soon. There was talk of him not even coming off the PUP list until, hey, he's going to have to miss those first 4 games. There was talk he might still miss weeks 5 and 6, depending on how long it takes him to come back. Fingers crossed he doesn't have a setback, but at this point, for me, I want a full year of Nuosu, just like in 2022 when he was flying around making a bunch of big plays. So I'd rather have him take the time. If you have to miss week 1 against San Fran, hey, they're beat up too. Maybe Nuosu takes an extra week or so that he's back 100% healthy and he's ready to go and ready to attack this season. I want you to predict it though, right? I just gave you my prediction. I think he misses a week or 2. You go into the comment section. You tell me, are you going to see Nuosu in a Seahawks uniform, suited up, playing in a game against the San Francisco 49ers? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Now, I need everyone to take a deep breath just like myself after that great piece on Uchenna Nwosu, because Tory Horton missed practice on Sunday, and I think a lot of people had the same reaction that I had after he got pulled out of that Kansas City Chiefs preseason game with an ankle injury of, oh no, we've seen this before, right? He got hurt when he was at Colorado State. That's why he fell in the draft. That's why he was a day 3 guy. That's why Seattle was able to get him, because he's had injury issues in the past. He's smaller. He's skinnier. Can he hold up to some of the hits? And then Mike Macdonald came in and said, yeah, I'm not too worried about it, man. He had an ankle injury. He's going to be okay. We just need to keep him out for precautionary reasons. This is great news for Seattle and for Seahawk fans, right? Whenever there's an ankle injury to a speedster like Horton, a guy who is going to get open using his quickness, his agility, his ability to one-step cut and get open in the slot, an ankle injury can seriously derail a season, or at least the very beginning of the season. It doesn't seem like that's what's going to happen here for Horton. As he continues to work his way back, I want to see him be more explosive on the field. You saw it in that first preseason game against the Raiders. He basically took every ball that he was able to complete and break a tackle or two. On punt and kick return, I thought he looked fantastic. No one player for the Raiders was able to come in and bring him down to the ground, right? He stayed up. He made a couple guys miss, got open, got through. On his touchdown play, right? He makes 2 guys miss, nice spin move. You're going to need your ankle. You're going to need your ankle at full strength to be able to go and really not miss a beat. I think that if Horton takes this week, at this point, you know you're making the ball club. I have him listed at wide receiver number 3 over MVS. I think that you take the week. Let him get some time. Let him build himself back up. If Mike Macdonald isn't worried about his ankle, I'm not going to be worried about Tory Horton's ankle either, though. If you can create a game plan, and I'm always going to be one of those guys who leans on take the extra day, take the extra week, create a game plan with the trainers, the training staff in Seattle to put him on a path to where he's back ready to go week 1 as your wide receiver 3 in the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver depth chart. When you look at it coming out of camp, or at least out of the first 2 preseason games right now, I have Tory Horton in that wide receiver 3 spot. I know some people are upset about this. They think that that should be where MVS is slated, and I think that Tory Horton's beat him out. The only thing that could sideline him or hold him back right now is this ankle injury and him not taking it serious and putting himself in a position to be ready to go by that 49ers game. Now, there is a world where Tory Horton misses this whole week and he misses half of next week. Then you're going to start to see me get a little bit nervous. If I had hair, maybe I'd start pulling some of it out because I'd be worried about where he's at with the ball club. But I still think at this point with Tory Horton and the relaxed nature that you're hearing from the wide receiver coaching staff and from Coach Mike Macdonald, I do think that we're going to see him week 1 against the 49ers. Now, some bonus injury news. And we already knew that Kenneth Walker had returned from missing the last couple of weeks, or at least missing about a week of action. He's been hit or miss, dealing with a sore foot. They won't go into detail about the foot injury, but just trust me, as someone who had a foot injury and was a football player, although not as good as Kenneth Walker, those take time to heal, especially for a running back. You need it strong, you need it healthy, you need it ready to go to be able to push off. It does sound like that Seattle plans to use Kenneth Walker in their joint practices this week against the Green Bay Packers. Now, they haven't said anything about preseason game 3. I really don't expect you to use him in that spot. It seems to me like preseason game 3, now that the NFL has cut it down to 3 games in a preseason, teams kind of go one of 2 ways. You either get to see a lot of starters and you don't see a ton of backups, or you see a ton of backups because they want to figure out who's going to fill out that 53-man roster. I think the joint practices are the perfect spot to use Walker. That offensive line has been road grading. I want to get him behind that first group, see if Sundell can continue to excel at that center position. Anthony Bradford took a gigantic step forward. We saw big runs from every running back that came into the game on that week 2 game against Kansas City. You saw Helani have a big run. You saw Martinez. You saw Charbonnet, right? You even saw Wright have big runs. I want to see Kenneth Walker have some big runs behind this revamped new offensive line, and I think those joint practices against other ones from Green Bay is the perfect spot to do it. Now, I want you guys to support me. I want you to support the channel. You stayed all the way to the end of the video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You did all the hard work. Now, make sure you go and click that thumbs up button. Give it that Pat Wilbur like. and like the video. Thank you so much for tuning in to Seahawks Today. We'll see you next time.